Hello and welcome into Tailgating with the Boys NFL recap episode. Obviously, the Super Bowl just happened last Sunday, so we figured we'd come on and give you guys a little NFL recap of the overall season, the playoffs, some teams that exceeded expectations, some teams that did not get there. Obviously, we'll highlight the coaching carousel that went on this offseason. And I know we don't do a whole hell of a lot of NFL football. It's more of college based, college football, college basketball. But we figured with how important NFL is, and we know a lot of our listeners care a lot about the NFL, us included. We'd come on and give a little NFL recap of the season. Before we get too into that, though, Booth, how we feeling? And what were your overall thoughts on the NFL season as a whole?
Well, circling back on your point, something we stimulated from at the beginning was we got away from NFL due to some of our viewers not really enjoying the episodes as much. And our main viewership is college football, so that was a big part for us that we kind of got tired of doing NFL if no one was going to listen to it. We would obviously love to get back into it I would say we watch as much NFL as anybody else every game, the whole Sunday,
Yeah.
Thursday,
Yeah.
Saturday, Monday. But
I look forward to sitting on the couch for 8 straight hours on Sunday.
watching Ska on Red Zone. But overall, the NFL season was fun, but in my opinion, it was the least overall successful and least successful and least boring NFL season I think in a long time.
Most boring.
Most boring. I don't count COVID seasons when we discuss this kind of stuff, so let's eliminate that. But as far as everything goes, there was a lot of bad teams. My team being one of them, your team being one of them. I feel like the competitive nature wasn't there compared to previous years. Going into this year, I didn't think the wild card teams had any shot of winning. None of them. Not a single one of them. In previous years, they had a shot. They were there. They at least competed. This year, that wasn't the case. None of the games were really close. Another thing is I don't really know anyone out of our group and from the Twitter community as a whole that had a successful gambling season. I looked it up. Vegas profited the most by percent margin, so we can take away that gambling's legal in all these states now. By percent margin, they doubled nearly any other season in NFL history. So with that, that was also a negative, and then I'm always for all the flags and the refs kind of being too involved, and the defense not really being able to play defense anymore. I know as a kid growing up, it was a thing for me to put on the TV and watch Ray Lewis lay out someone, or James Harrison from the Steelers. Any Luke Kuechly growing up, all those guys. That was one of the best parts of watching people get hit. Anyone gets hit hard at all, it's an automatic flag. So as far as my season as a whole, my thoughts go, I think it wasn't very successful. Did I have fun watching the NFL? Yes, everyone does, but I thought it was very boring compared to any other season in recent memory, especially in the last 5 to 6 years where we've really started caring as we get in our young 20s, mid 20s and stuff.
And we're all for player safety. Let's make that very clear. We're all for player safety, but there's a limit to the amount of safety that the refs are trying to control here. I'm all for the helmets and the caps on the helmets to help your brain and all that stuff. I'm all for that. I think Brody is too. And what I think you're trying to say is just let them play a little bit. It's the I kind of fell a little bit awkward on the quarterback instant flag. It's like, okay, are we really putting the quarterback in danger when he gets fell on a little bit too hard or something like that? No, I don't think so. I think that's kind of where you're going with that, and I 100% agree that they need to just let him play a little bit more. Now, if you blow somebody up, and it's fully intentional that, it's 3-4 seconds after the play, yes, we're all for that. We're all for player safety, but there is an extent to where let the boys play a little bit. And this is football, and you're signing up for a contact sport, so you know what you're getting into. So I agree with that. I do also agree with the fact that, like you hinted at a little bit earlier, none of the wild card teams really had a chance. This season was incredibly top heavy. You had your Bills, you had your Chiefs, Ravens could make an argument in there, but that was really it for the AFC. And then obviously you have a little bit more with the Commanders and the Vikings and the Lions and the NFC, but still there weren't a whole bunch of teams that were really contending. And the Vikings, we saw their collapse towards the end of the year, and we kind of knew going into it that they're not going to be able to make a Super Bowl run with kind of how they're playing towards the end of the year.
How about the just overall NFC North collapse?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to my Packers fans, but your guys' division got shown as frauds, and it was bad. It was ugly. It's not like any of their games were close. All of them were pretty ugly games in the playoffs, and I mean, going into everyone was saying this is the best conference in football, and I don't think they can make an argument for that at all anymore.
No, and then the Lions did have some injuries, but it wasn't injuries that happened, right when the playoff run was going to happen. Hutch was out for a while. They ended up getting Montgomery back for the playoff game, so it's not really that argument of the Lions had a whole bunch of injuries. Vikings really didn't have any key injuries to any of their key players, so they can't make that argument at all. But I do get I do get the sympathy for the Lions of, okay, maybe if you have Hutch, you have a little bit of a better chance. But at the end of the day, you finished the season without Hutch for, what was it, probably 5 or 6 games at the end of the year without him, if not more. So you got to know that you're not getting him back. And they looked good at the end of the season and just kind of got to the playoffs and fell apart.
They went 15-2. They were a really good football team. But I want to circle back on kind of the NFL as a whole with you. I know for me, at least, I want to get the pass interference rule changed to college. I think that affects way too many games. I think that's something big they could easily change.
100%. Not a spot foul, just a 15 yards.
The Chiefs won 2 games, I believe, just off that penalty alone. Was able to kick a field goal as time expired just because of that.
Yeah.
And then I have a question for you. I was talking to my dad about this a couple weeks ago, and do you think it would make the NFL playoffs more enticing and exciting if you made it one big thing instead of 2 sides? Each division winner gets in, but seeding's based off record. It's just like the college football playoff, but you get automatic in it. You get an automatic in if you win your division. No home game based off record. So I was looking at that. I think it would be a lot more competitive. Overall, we'd have a more competitive nature rather than arguably the 3 best QBs in the NFL going through each other on the AFC side.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that would make it a lot more fun, and it would play into it a little bit more. I think down the line of, okay, I play an NFC team week 16, week 17. Where usually I don't really care about this game at all. I already have my playoff spot. I'm only really worried about the divisional games at this point. I think that would play a big factor in it. I think that could be a lot of fun. It would also spread it out because, like you said, yes, we have the Eagles and the Lions, and the Commanders can make an argument there, but your powerhouse teams were the Chiefs, the Bills, and arguably the Ravens. So to have those guys kind of split up and, like you said, all the 3 best quarterbacks arguably in the NFL having to go through each other to get to the Super Bowl would make that a little bit more exciting. Going off that a little bit, though, I was talking to one of my coworkers a couple weeks ago, and we were kind of thinking, okay, and granted, keep this in mind, he's a Bengals fan, so he was going to try to figure out any way possible for the Bengals to get in this year. But when he came up with the idea of, let's add a team, and if you add a team, the bracket gets all fucked up, so you can't do that. But I was thinking along the lines of playing games, so kind of how the college basketball has your 16 seeds playing each other and all that kind of stuff. Imagine if the Broncos and the Bengals had a play-in game to then take that final spot in the AFC. Same could be said for Green Bay and Seattle, I believe. Yeah, Green Bay and Seattle. So imagine those 2 teams had to battle it out for a playoff spot. I think that would also make it a little bit more fun. But at the end of the day, your top-heavy teams are going to win.
Yeah, I mean, it would make it fun, But the Broncos deserve to be in over the Bengals. The Bengals didn't do enough. They went 9-8.
No, I agree.
In my opinion, there should never be a 9-8 football team in the playoffs.
Yes. The NFC is a better argument because, okay, yes, I understand the Bucs won their division, and same with the Rams, but they're both 10-7. The Seahawks are also 10-7. So that to me would be the one where it would be a little bit more interesting. And like I said, obviously he's going to argue the fact that the Bengals should have been in and all that stuff, and I don't think they should. You can't go out and lose week 1 to one of the worst teams in football and the Patriots and expect to, have an argument at the end of the season. So I fully get that, but I do think NFC-wise this year it could have been something that would have been fun and would have worked as, okay, we're looking at all these 10-7 teams. One of them gets bumped out. And I get it. Divisionals play into it all, but we all know that some divisions are significantly better than others. So the division argument is a little bit flawed in my eyes.
Yeah. If you want, we can go ahead and kind of dive into the Bengals a little bit. I know you had some stuff to say about them.
Yeah. I mean, they drastically did not meet expectations. And really have fallen off completely since that whole AFC run, Super Bowl run that they had. Really have almost been non-existent competitive-wise. I know everybody in my Cincinnati area has their eyes on the Bengals all the time of, oh, well, we're the only team that can beat the Chiefs and blah, 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 blah. But they really didn't deserve to go. Like I said, week 1, you lose by 6 to the Patriots at home on a season opener. That's a terrible way to start your season. Then you have to go to Kansas City, always a hard place to play. You lose by 1, fine. Maybe we have a chance. But they really did not look like a complete team all year, beating the Giants, who I think are the worst team in the NFL right now, by 10. It's not a team in my eyes that deserved to go. And I'm not arguing that they should have by the whole play-in thing. But I do think that would be a fun way to do it. But Bengals really have not even gotten close to where they should be with the caliber of guys that they have on their team. With Joe Burrow, who, incredible quarterback, led most major statistical categories in the quarterback position this year. Jamar Chase being what Jamar Chase is. We all know he's absolutely insane. Trey Hendrickson is a dog. Obviously losing Jesse Bates, and that hurt them. And the coaching staff, I think, is really bad over there. But they didn't even get close to the expectations that I had, and I think a lot of other people had around the world in the NFL this year.
I mean, I'm going to drastically counter that. I don't understand their whole expectation argument.
You have one of the best quarterbacks and one of the best receivers in football.
I will never understand it. 2 years and 5 in his 5 years in the league, he's made the playoffs. The other 3, I believe they've came in third or last in the division. The last 9 years, they've made the playoffs twice. Yeah. I mean,
you also play in a very difficult division.
Worst defense in the NFL. I mean,
yes.
I will never. I mean, I think it was a fluke run to their Super Bowl, and I will stand by that. Yes, they have Joe Burrow. So what? He's made the playoffs 2 out of 5 years. It's the Cincinnati Bengals. They have the most delusional fan base in all sports.
Joe Burrow was number 1 in yards and touchdowns this year.
Joe Burrow was came in second in my MVP voting. If you go 9-8, though, you can't win the MVP and you can't make the playoffs.
Definitely.
So you can say these expectations, but
I don't think it was an offensive issue.
His expectation has been to miss the playoffs. 3 out of his 5 years, he has missed the playoffs.
Yes.
The Bengals' expectation is to miss the playoffs. I mean, I won't ever understand the Bengals' argument, but
I don't know about that. The expectation is to make the playoffs, win the Super Bowl every year for every team, and I get what you're saying, but with the stars and the caliber of players that they have on this team, they should be a whole hell of a lot better than they are. And granted, I will say it's a big defensive issue in my eyes. When you have Jamar Chase, who led, exactly, and that's it. Trey Hendrickson is the only person on that defense that's worth a damn. You lose Jesse Bates, and that kills your secondary. Sam Hubbard played through injury all year. I don't know if you saw that or not, but he turned down
Buckeye.
season-ending injury. He turned down season-ending surgery at the beginning of the year because he wanted to play. Probably in hindsight should have stayed or should have said, I'm going to go ahead and get that surgery so I can be better for the rest of my career. I think he's looking back at that as a mistake. But yes, Trey Hendrickson led the league in sacks, and I get that. But besides him, they didn't really have anybody. He had 17 and a half sacks this year. Guess how many the number 2 player on that team had?
3.
5. And then 3. So it's like nobody else is getting double digits. That's terrible. You have, I don't know how many interceptions on the year, but it wasn't a whole hell of a lot. The pass deflections are low. So when you have a defense that bad, it's hard to win games, and I get that. But in my eyes, with the caliber of offense that they have, they should be making the playoffs more consistently than they have been. Which is why I have them as a not meeting expectations. I see what you're saying along the lines of why is the expectation that, and I probably agree with you. At this point, the expectation should not be that. But in my eyes, with the amount of talent that they have, they should be a whole hell of a lot better. And I think a lot of that
I don't want to
to
say that,
coaching
but
as well.
but last year Jake Browning did better as a starter than Joe Burrow did when he played.
Yes.
So I don't want to attack Joe Burrow here, but sometimes you're gonna like Joe Burrow's great. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
he has great guys around him and still couldn't win. Move on from the Bengals. Let's go with the team who probably bombed the most this year. I think that it's the Jets.
No, yeah,
Right,
big time.
the highest
time.
expectations going in the year.
Big
I
time.
feel bad for that fan base. I hate the Jets. I feel bad for their fan base. They were like 3rd or 4th in Super Bowl odds going into the year, and to go 4-13 is
I don't know off
five
the
and
top of my
12,
head,
something
I
like
can
that
let you know.
is absurd. And
Yeah, they were
without
terrible.
without a doubt, they were the most disappointing team of the year.
Yeah, and they were funny to me though. Yeah, 5-12. So they had one more win than the Patriots did this year. But it was funny to me, and I know a lot of people said the same thing and thought it was hilarious. But it was like every single week, the Jets would do something that like, oh, okay, all right, they're going to be back. You know, we're going to fire Robert Saleh. Okay, that was the issue. Now we have a better coaching staff in here that cares about the players, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then, okay, you get smoked by the Patriots. Okay, actually, we're going to go get Devontae Adams. Oh, okay, all right, you got Devontae Adams now. The Jets are back. Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams are back. Cool. Then you go get killed by the Cardinals in Arizona. So it's like they kept trying to bring this fan base back in and make them excited and, you know, have hope for the season. And every single week, they just let them down. Obviously, the reports of Aaron Rodgers probably not coming back to the Jets makes all that worse.
Which means the Jets are going to trade up to the Browns and give us Garrett Wilson.
Buddy, I think you need a quarterback, but you can hope.
I'm not. All right, we can do the Browns now. I'm not taking a quarterback this draft. I already said
So
that.
you're going to stick with Deshaun?
No, I'm not sticking with Deshaun. I can't say that on the street, but I'm trading back with the Jets, taking a couple of their picks. They want a quarterback. We go sign any of the fucking 7 guys that are out there. Kirk or Justin Fields are my first 2 choices. Geno Smith's also out
You're
there.
not getting Justin Fields. I think the Steelers have made that decision.
Yeah, the Steelers won't send this one. Go draft Will Howard in the late 2nd, early 3rd round. He's a 6'4" NFL body. Let him mentor after Kirk. They're the same exact quarterback. Build up your offensive line. Take Scatterbill. Browns, next to the Jets, the Browns have the 2nd most disappointing season with the most expectations going into the season, in my opinion.
Oh,
They
yeah.
were
They were
projected.
sad.
They were projected to be an NFL playoff team. We sucked. Everyone knows we sucked. Browns did the Browns.
Not to mention your best player wants to leave.
Yeah, and now our best player wants to leave, and Andrew Berry should probably get. I think so. Jesus, should probably get fired.
Yeah, there you go.
But
should be unemployed.
If I was GM, I'm not drafting any of the sweepstake quarterbacks that are up there because I think they all suck. But if they do,
I don't hate that thought process whatsoever.
If they do, then whatever. I'll support it and wear a brown bag over my head for the next 10 years. So.
No, nothing's new there. You guys have been doing that for decades.
Talk about your team. I don't want to talk about the Browns much.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think we're in a not a similar draft position, but along the lines of we have no use for the number 4. With all these quarterbacks that are up there, Shedeur, Cam Ward, all these guys, we don't need any of those. We have Drake May. We have our quarterback of the future. I am very happy with what we did with him this year. I thought his progression was great. We didn't throw him out there right away, which, can be good, can be bad. Obviously, we saw Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels excel by getting thrown out there right away. But that always doesn't work out for players. So I do like that they started the year with Brissett, rolled out there, let Drake kind of get a feel for what the NFL's like, and I think he started week 6 or 7, which for all of you guys, you can go back and look. I said that week 6 or 7 would be the perfect time for him to come in. And I think that was a great way to do it. Because he did. It's hard to get yes, I'm not talking about the speed of the game and the size of these guys and everything else. I'm talking about being a professional, showing up, doing this stuff. You're not in a dorm room that the school buys you that you're down the street. You actually have to wake up, get your shit together, drive down it's not a half a block to the stadium. These guys have to get up and prepare, get there on time, get to meetings on time. And we saw all these different things. Anthony Richardson was unable to show up to meetings on time. And we don't have to get into that because I think there's a lot more going on than him just not being able to wake up on time. But it's a lot different than college off the field. Obviously, on the field, it's a whole hell of a lot different. But I think people overlook how different it is off the field as well. So I like that we gave him time to do that. And I think he's going to be our quarterback of the future for sure. Going off what you said, though, and I've said it for the last couple of weeks, I would love to also trade with the Jets. Granted,
they won't have a quarterback in this spot.
No, they won't. And this was weeks ago when we were going to get the one, or not weeks ago, but a while back before the season ended when we were going to get the 1 pick, possibly the 2 pick. I thought that would be a beautiful time to go get Garrett Wilson. Now at the 4, probably not. I still think we trade it. There's no need for us to keep the 4. Go back, maybe around the 10 to 12 mark, see what we can get there. At least field the option of it. But I'm very curious to see what we can do in the draft this year.
Yeah. Next.
But yeah, I don't have anything else for us. I'm excited about the draft. I don't really have anything else for the Patriots. We're just gonna have to wait and see what we do with the draft. But I like our outlook on the future. Definitely could use another wide receiver to help Drake out. But I think the defense is where it needs to be at the moment. I think we could use some offensive line help and some wide receiver help, but we'll see what we can do during the draft. I don't have anything else for the Patriots. Do you have another team in mind you would like to talk about?
Yeah, I have a couple teams I'd still want to talk about. The first being the Steelers. I've talked to multiple people about the Steelers. They're in a situation where Mike Tomlin has built a team to go 9-8 and get that winning record every year. So It's at a point as a fan, can you really get excited to go 9-8, 10-7 every year and lose in the first round of the playoffs? I mean, we all know Jersey Jerry. He straight up goes, it's the same shit every single year, and it's never going to change. And they have the talent, only the talent to lose in the wild card every single year. That's where they're at, and Mike Tomlin is, I think, content with that. And as the owner of the Steelers, I think they need to see that and see if they want to take the next step in the AFC, given how big and how tough the top of the AFC is. They're going to need a change of scenery, and obviously that change didn't happen this offseason. So I think next year we're going to see the same exact Steelers, especially Another big thing is T.J. Watt wants to chase a Super Bowl ring, and I don't. He's one of those guys that necessarily hasn't requested a trade, but at the same time, kind of wants out. I know the Patriots have been linked as the top destination for T.J. Watt, which would be great for you guys, even though he's a sack merchant. But
but Matthew Judon replacement essentially is what that would be.
Yes.
And I have a couple things for you off that. I do agree. At what point does TJ kind of get to the point where I think Miles is at? Of, okay, I've got my defensive player of the year. I lead the league in sacks all the time. I want a ring. I need a ring before I can retire. So I do think TJ probably is at that point as well of, okay, I've got my defensive player of the years. People know I'm an insane defensive end, arguably one of the best defensive ends year in and year out in the league. Definitely a top 3 or 5 defensive end every single year. So I do think he probably requests that trade shortly. But the other thing is, at what point is Mike Tomlin sitting there and saying, okay, in order for us to kind of get over that hump, we need a couple rebuild years? Do I want to give up my legacy of I'm always going to go 500 plus in order to get there? Or is he okay with, all right, I realistically only have probably 3 to 5 more years left. If I can just continue to go 500 plus for the next 3 years, it's going to be one of the crazier things that any coach has ever done statistically with that. Is he thinking in his mind, let me just continue to do that until I get my Hall of Fame ballot, and then I'm going to retire, and I'm going to be a Hall of Famer, blah, 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 whatever. Maybe that's kind of where his mindset is at, and I think for Steelers fans it's incredibly frustrating because they don't get a Hall of Fame jacket, they don't get their names recognized, they just want to win games, to where maybe Tomlin kind of has a different outlook on that for him, selfishly for his career and everything else.
Yeah, wrapping up off the Steelers, the Steelers lost, and probably one of the more funner games to watch of the year in the Snow Bowl. I was there. Browns are still undefeated with me in person in Cleveland. But I was there. Browns won 3 games. They won that one. I was there. But another team is the Ravens, where you're doing the same thing every year, and you went and added your biggest hole in running back, and Derrick Henry. You added the number 1 or 2 running back in the league right behind Saquon this year.
Yeah.
And you still couldn't get the job done. Where do you go to from here? I mean, is it fire Harbaugh, or are you guys content going with 12-5 and losing in the divisional or the AFC Championship? Do we think Lamar can get over that hump? I don't. And I've said that before. I'm not a Lamar guy. I don't think he's a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. I think there's 4 or 5 guys in this league who are. I think Lamar's a very good quarterback. He's an MVP caliber quarterback, but he is not a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He doesn't do what he needs to do in order to win the big one, and that's shown in all 4 or 5 years of his career here in the league, or 7, however long he's been. And I'm not a fire Harbaugh guy. I think Harbaugh's a top 10 coach in the league.
You can't.
But at some point, something's got to change, or you're in the same boat as Mike Tomlin, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree, and I think you worded it correctly. In Lamar is an MVP quarterback. I know we'll get into that in a little bit, but I do think he should have won MVP this year. But there's more to going on a Super Bowl run than just being the best statistically. You have to win games. And they've proven down the stretch when they have to play teams like the Bills, teams like the Chiefs. And like you said, you're always going to have to play those types of teams in the playoffs because they're always going to be there. If you can't get over that hump, it's demoralizing for sure, but it's like, is it time to look at somewhere else? And I think it's different, but Josh Allen, I think, is kind of in that same boat. He's statistically great, and I think he wins games better. The Bills win more games than the Ravens should in similar situations. But Josh Allen is 4-0 against Patrick Mahomes in the regular season when they play. He is 0-3 against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. So it's so much more than just stats, I can throw the hell out of the ball and blah, blah, blah. Cool. It takes a lot to dig deep and beat teams like Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and stuff like that.
I will take it to the grave that was a first down in the Bills-Chiefs AFC Championship.
Yeah, I agree.
That was a first down. I don't know how much that would have changed the outcome of the game.
And the Dalton Kincaid thing as well.
Yeah, and the Dalton Kincaid, the play before that should have been a first down as well. But, I mean, I believe the NFL's rigged, but that's just me.
It's an entertainment
Bills, yeah, it's a business. Bills exceeded expectations. No receivers,
Definitely.
lost Diggs.
Definitely.
Josh Allen MVP. Niners
lost key guys. Diggs was big for them and everybody. And, Keon Coleman stepped up, but I think the big guy on the offense that stepped up was Khalil Shakir this year. James Cook had great games too and multiple 2-3 touchdown games, but they definitely exceeded expectations. I thought they were going to be a very mid team, especially with what we thought the Jets were going to be this year.
Yeah. The last team I want to talk about is the Niners, and really my main thing is, did they miss their Super Bowl window?
I think so.
They're
going to have to spend a lot of money to keep this team together, and money that I don't think they have. Purdy's obviously going to want to get paid with everything that he's done.
He's a system QB at the same time, so that's
the
next issue is you need those guys around Purdy in order to be able to do that. But that was the last team. I mean, quick stuff. Broncos exceeded expectations. Texans,
big time.
CJ Stroud kind of had a slump, but their team had enough pieces around it to be able to get the job done in the worst division in football, though. So, I mean...
Yeah, that's the thing. And it's weird because, yes, Jaden Daniels had an unbelievable rookie season this year, but you don't see a lot of rookie quarterbacks step in and do the things that CJ did last year and the things that Jaden Daniels did this year. So it's kind of hard to gauge the Texans because we have to... A lot of people look at, oh, wow, okay, CJ's this veteran guy now knows what he's doing. He's only his second year in the NFL. So he's still getting his shit figured out too. So the Texans are hard to gauge. We'll see what happens. Diggs is a free agent now. I don't think that really hurts them as much as people think with having Nico Collins. Hopefully Tank Dell can get back healthy again because I think those are their two young core guys on the receiving end of things. So, yeah, I think they're kind of a team to watch, and maybe we'll see how they do in CJ's third year. But I know we're going to go into some NFL awards real quick. I just wanted to touch on the coaching carousel for the ones that we missed. Obviously, the Jets with Aaron Glenn, I think that'll be a big one for them.
Horrible hire. I think that's a horrible hire.
I think Aaron Glenn, this sounds weird, because I think Aaron Glenn is going to be a good NFL head coach. I just think the Jets are not the right team for him. They need offense help. Their defense is fine.
How's this not Saleh 2.0 though? This is the
exactly. Well, Saleh was a defensive guy.
Yes, the exact same situation. You have the top DC in the league get brought in to the Jets. And almost literally the exact same situation. Saleh got brought in off a 3-win season. I think Jets, like you said, had a 5-win season. Yep. I think that's a bad hire.
I think the Jets hiring Aaron Glenn was a poor decision. I think Aaron Glenn deserves to be a head coach. I think he will be a good head coach. I just don't think it'll be in New York. Their defense is fine. Sauce is amazing. Quentin Williams is a monster. And you have these guys on the offensive end too, Garrett, Devontae, Aaron Rodgers, Breece Hall, all these guys, but obviously something's not clicking there. They should have brought in an offensive-minded guy. I think what the Bears did with Ben Johnson is what the Jets should have done. Go get a super experienced offensive guy who knows what he's doing, can bring him in. You have the guys already there. You just need the play calls and the mind and the schemes to set it up. So, I think they made the wrong decision there. I don't think Aaron Glenn is going to be a bad head coach, per se. I just think it's not what the Jets need, and he's not.
It was literally
he should not be the Jets. Yeah. And going off that, I think Ben Johnson was a great hire. I think that is exactly what the Bears need. And all these young guys on their team with Rome, with Caleb, DJ Moore's really not that old. Keenan Allen's getting up there in age, but they need an offensive-minded guy. DeAndre Swift, I think, is like 24 or 25. He's young. They have the tools there, and they're in a similar. They're not in a similar situation to the Jets, because I think the Jets, player personnel-wise, is better. But they need a guy in there who can come in and have a great offensive scheme and help this team out. Now, is the Bears' defense the same level as the Jets? No, but that's fine. They still have a fairly good defense.
The Bears are going to bear, and I don't see them. I'm going to be honest. I really don't see them going above 9-8 in the foreseeable future. I'm not
it's
a Caleb
improvement
Williams
though.
That's improvement. Sorry to my friends who are Bears fans, but Bears are going to bear. It's the Bears. I will be in Chicago for Bears Browns next year. That's circled on my calendar, so nice. I'll have a live experience from there. But I mean, Bears are going to bear. It's going to be a matter of. I mean, I've said this all year, and I said it before the NFL season. Caleb Williams he's topped out on his skill. I think he's topped out. I think he's as good as he can possibly be. And even then, his best NFL season or college season was like his second year in. So that's.
We also have to remember, when he was at USC, the USC wasn't in the Big Ten. The Pac-12 defense that doesn't exist.
Yes.
The Pac-12 they don't exist anymore. But when they were, they don't play defense. It's okay, who can get to 45 points the fastest, you'll win the game. So he comes in to a division that is the complete opposite. The Packers have a great defense. Jair Alexander, these guys that are dogs. The Lions have great defense. Some dogs are the Hayden Hutchinson and all these other guys. He's never played good defenses consistently, so I think that also really hurts him. But I do think Ben Johnson can bring a little bit of improvement, I guess. Now, are they going to go win a Super Bowl? Probably not. Could they make the playoffs? Maybe. Maybe get a wild card spot to go get whooped in the first round, potentially. But not much more than that. But I do think Ben Johnson was the right hire for them and is a smart thing that they needed to do.
Let's do the next couple ones fast, and then we can go into
I don't have much. I think Kellen Moore was weird. I think that was kind of a weird one.
Fun fact. Kellen Moore played at Boise State in college. He was their quarterback. If you use Twitter, you probably saw this, but Derek Carr played at Fresno State. I believe Boise State won like 37-7, and Kellen Moore threw for like 350 yards, and Derek Carr threw for like 120. So weird dynamic there. Wanted to slip in that fun fact. I don't mind that hire. I don't know how.
I don't mind it either. That would be the last place I would want to go coach, though. Yeah. You understand how in debt the Saints are? It's stupid how little amount of money that they have over the next 5 years. Like, that's really hard to do, to come in, to take a team who's struggling to begin with, and then add on the fact of, I have no money to go get these free agents, so my only hope is really to have incredible drafts, and I think that's really hard. I do think Kellen Moore is a great option as a head coach, but I think he's stepping into a very difficult situation.
Pete Carroll hire was weird.
I think it's a great hire, though.
I think it's a great hire. I think they brought him in just to have that Pete Carroll versus Harbaugh matchup twice a year. I mean, he's going to be fun. He's going to sell tickets.
And he went and got Chip Kelly, which I think I hate it because it took him from us, but we all know Chip has an incredible offensive mind. Their one issue is they don't have anybody, so they need to get that figured out. I mean, Max Crosby, I think, probably wants out of there, and he's their best player by far. They have Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, but you need a little bit more than that to be successful. But I do think people probably want to play for Pete Carroll. I would not be totally shocked if they sign Russell Wilson for a year or two while they try to figure out this whole quarterback situation. That would not surprise me at all. But
be fine if
I'm
they
going to keep
traded
an
up.
eye. I'm going to keep an eye on the Raiders just to see what they're going to do, because it's no secret that Pete Carroll's an incredible coach. It's just, okay, he's been out of it for a little bit. How long is it going to take to get that rust off, if he's going to ever be able to get the rust off? So I think that'll be interesting. And two of the ones that I really didn't like, I don't like the Liam Cohen hire for the Jags. I mean, the Jags have been terrible, and then to go get a guy, and this is not shitting on Liam Cohen at all, because everything that everybody said about him is great, and I think he is a good coach. He's just so inexperienced. He's had 2 real years on as real roles. He's been an offensive coordinator twice for 2 different teams. He's been in college for a little bit. He was with you guys at the beginning of his career, all this stuff. So he's not super experienced.
Cornball.
But I think, yes, I think that aspect plays beautifully into Jacksonville, though. Yeah. Is he's going to have fun. There's not going to be any serious, obviously you have to be serious, but he's going to have fun, and he's going to want his guys to enjoy playing for him and enjoy playing in general. I think that helps. I think the Cowboys. Really? That's not good.
Nah, not good at all. He's down and he's hurt bad.
What's the score of that?
They're at St. John's on 3.
Sorry for interrupting you. Cohen and Duval. Hire of the year, though, is Vrabel to the Pats.
Oh yeah, I love that. I mean, I think Vrabel and Ben Johnson are the 2 best hires this year. I'm very excited to have Vrabel back in New England. I think he's going to make the right decisions, get guys in the position that they need to be, and develop these guys, because we are so young. And that's what people, I don't think anybody, I mean, people understand it. But
you're the youngest team in the league.
We are so young. So it's like, okay, take these guys, develop them, make them into star players that we can be. I mean, Drake, I think, has shown his potential, but Jalen Polk, I think, one of our wide receivers we drafted last year from Washington, is going to be really good. Obviously, Christian Gonzalez has been playing well. He's back healthy again after last year's debacle with his whole season-ending injury. So I think he's going to be great. And I like Vrabel. Vrabel's also fairly young. So it's not like you're bringing an old guy like Pete Carroll in here who's going to have his old style systems. Vrabel's okay with, bringing this new style of football in here, having a little bit of fun, and he's going to be able to connect with these young guys a little bit better than somebody like Pete Carroll will, and stuff like that. So I'm really happy about that hire. I don't have anything else with the coaching carousel. I do think Vrabel and Ben Johnson were the 2 best hires this year. For fit-wise, I think Aaron Glenn and Liam Cohen were probably my 2 least favorite hires. Not that Aaron Glenn's not going to be a great head coach, because I do think he will be. But it's very difficult to go to the Jets, especially as a defensive-minded guy, when that offense is really struggling. But I don't have anything else for coaches stuff. I know you wanted to get into player awards and stuff like that.
Yeah. You want to do the new segment first, real fast? We'll sneak it in here.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so we're going to do a new segment. It's going to be kind of just like a question of the day, and whoever either DMs us and gives us the answer to the question while also showing proof of them sharing the episode with a couple of their friends, a couple of their buddies, their Instagram story, we'll get to pick a segment we do on our next episode. We're going to be doing hoops and debates each once a week. And if you wanted, we would consider bringing you on the show depending on who you are and how interested you really are in coming on. But today's question is, so Jalen Hurts, now Super Bowl champion, has won at every level and was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school. After 3 years at Bama, he transferred to Oklahoma to follow in the footsteps of what 2 current NFL starters? Like I said, the first person to answer that question correctly and share it and show that they shared it with friends will get to either come on the pod, pick a new segment. We'll decide based off who you are and the type of person you are and how interested you really are in coming on. But
wait, can you repeat the question? Who are the other 2 players that have done that?
The 2 years that he followed at quarterback at the University of Oklahoma.
Oh, who were the 2 people before him?
Before him, the 2 people before him, both Heisman winners, to give you guys a little bit of a hint. But awards, all right. Some stuff from the before the year. the only thing I predicted right was Jared Verse Defensive Rookie of the Year, which was a long shot hit as far as awards go. I was high on Josh Allen for MVP, but me and you both had Jordan Love. I went back and listened to our pod, our very first pod with our prediction.
I ended up betting Lamar
too.
I think like the third episode or something.
I also had Jaden Daniels as offensive. I had Jaden Daniels and Marvin Harrison as offensive rookies of the year. Obviously, Marv didn't pan out. Jaden did. Coach of the year. I took Stefanski. But
I think Dan Quinn should have won that.
Yeah, I also think Dan Quinn should have won.
I think he got kind of screwed.
Yeah. And then Defensive Player of the Year, I took Miles. I forget who you took.
I struggle with this one, though, because in years past, it was so clear, looking at it, okay, Miles absolutely dominated every single team. Year before that, TJ absolutely dominated. Aaron Donald absolutely dominated. There wasn't that absolute dominance this year, and it was kind of weird, and I think that's why they went with Surtain. I don't think Surtain was the right choice.
I think Miles.
I think Miles probably should have got it, yes.
He was the biggest.
But this one was weird to me.
He was the biggest game record on the year.
For sure.
I get the Browns didn't win. But if you wanted to go with a winner, you could say Trey Hendrickson, but their defense freaking sucks, so he really didn't wreck a game.
Yeah.
And
I do think MVP is the only one that they really look at for can you win games. Yes. Like Defensive Player of the Year is different because it's like, okay, like other defense could be really fucking good, but my offense could stink.
Yeah.
What you guys saw this year. Your defense was pretty good, but your offense stunk.
I do think they got Rookie of the Year's correct.
Yes.
I'm not going to disagree with those. Jared
and I think Saquon was Offensive Player. I think that was
fair. Right. Did Surtain get D Player of the Year?
Yeah,
that's right. We just said that. Dan Quinn should have been Coach of the Year, and
I think was the biggest flop.
Yes. That was by far the biggest flop. You took a team who had the number 2 pick and had not had a winning season in years. Terrible. To the NFC Championship, and you didn't win Coach of the Year.
Yeah,
I
thought that was crazy.
Yeah, that's a little absurd. I do think though. I think Josh Allen deserved MVP. Lamar came in at 4th on my ballot. I'm not gonna lie. He was 4th on my ballot, and I think Josh was by far the most valuable guy to his team. I think you can kind of take him and put him on any team. He can be very valuable. I think if Lamar was on the Bills, I do not think the Bills would have made it in the playoffs. And that's I know that's kind of crazy to say, but Lamar had the top running back in the league to hand the ball off to.
Did you know though that the only major statistical category that Josh Allen did better than Lamar in was rushing touchdowns?
Yes, I know that. And we don't go by stats in this. The 2 years that Lamar has won it, he didn't lead the league in anything.
I know. I'm just saying.
That's the thing. That's where people forget about the MVP metric. It's how valuable you are to your team. In the years Lamar 100%. Won it, he didn't lead the league in anything. He just had Gus Edwards in the backfield and took him to a 12-5 record. That's, but then again, in the same day, Joe Burrow came in 2nd and Saquon was my 3rd. So Lamar wasn't even top 3 on my MVP ballot. I think Saquon absolutely carried the Eagles to 14-3. He, in my opinion, had the best running back season of all time.
Yeah,
it's hard to root against. And then you had Joe Burrow. If they went 10-7, he probably wins MVP if they make the playoffs.
Oh, easily. If he makes the playoffs, they easily do. Because he led in yards, he led in touchdowns. He was 4th in QBR, I think. He had a great statistical season. Just the defense did nothing to help them. So I get that. But yeah, I do think they got rookies. That was fairly easy for the most part, I think. And yes, could Saquon have made the argument for MVP for sure, but I think they got him right with Offensive Player of the Year. And yes, I don't disagree with the Josh Allen MVP. Because I agree, his value on that team was insane. Like you said, you put Lamar on that team, probably not going to happen the same way. So I do agree with that. But Yeah, I don't really have much else for that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
It was weird. It's so hard though. I truly understand. Like the defense this year, like I said, was so much different than years past. Where yes, do I think Miles probably should have won it? Probably.
I think any of those 3 or 4 guys were well deserving. I think it was very fair across the board for the first time. But then again, going back on the quarterback situation, a lot of people are arguing Patrick Mahomes 15-2. I think there's 8 to 10 quarterbacks you could probably have put on the Chiefs this year, and they would have done the same thing.
He had a horrible season.
Horrible season. I don't think he's a very good quarterback. I think he's just always had the perfect system. And a top-notch defense. Yeah, he's
and
a top
having Travis Kelce, granted,
yes.
stinks, but having Travis Kelce is massive.
Yeah, and Chris Jones, but
and Chris Jones too. And did you see? I know we'll get into the Super Bowl here in a second, but did you see him? I think it was the second pick that Pat threw. He just dropped to his knees and put his face down. I did feel bad for him at that point. Now, granted, then I sat there and I go, well, he's got multiple Super Bowl rings and a whole shit ton of money.
Mahomes?
And no, I felt bad for Chris Jones.
Oh,
Chris Jones dropped to him because he's trying so hard. I don't hate, but he's trying so hard to win, and he's giving everything he has out there for Pat to just go out there and consistently throw picks all the time, and he's so tired and dead. And that I understand, and I did feel bad for him for a second, but then I remembered that he's got a crap ton of money.
They should have.
I did feel bad for him.
In my opinion, the last 2 years, I don't think they were the best team in the AFC. I'll stand by that. People like to argue on this. They didn't deserve to beat the Bills. They got handed that.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, when we get, I want to go. I mean, is our champ coming in? What's he doing here?
No, he's struggling. We were going to bring Deutsch in. You guys met Deutsch beginning of the year. Eagles boy, Philly Deutsch.
Recurring
He's
guest.
working on trying to come in. We were going to get him in for his Super Bowl thoughts. I know he's pumped. He was out at a bar downtown when we were all at home watching it. He took Monday off as he knew that the Eagles were going to win. But we can talk about, absolutely dominating performance from them.
It was awesome. And I can say this before Deutsch comes in, but it was great to see the Eagles do what they did. They had a dominating year all year, 14-3. Absolutely ran through the playoffs. One of their losses was without Jalen Hurts. It was just awesome to see. Cooper DeJean, that was great. On his birthday especially. And then going off that, I do want to be clear, this was probably the worst Super Bowl I've ever watched.
Yeah.
My 25th Super Bowl of my lifetime, 24, 25, whatever. Worst Super Bowl of my life. The halftime show sucked. The 2 teams in it, I didn't enjoy to watch.
He's here.
There's our national champ.
What's going on, boys? How we doing?
Can you turn on your camera, Doy?
I was not prepared for that.
All good. No, Doy, we were just talking about it. Absolutely dominating performance. You ran Patrick Mahomes out of the building in the first half. But yeah, what are your thoughts? How you feeling? I know you're on top of the world, sure, but
I'm not gonna lie to you. That was probably a perfect game. I really have nothing much to say. That game went probably as good as it possibly could have for Eagles fans. Like the fact that Saquon wasn't the best player this game and we still won with Jalen Hurts carrying is just the perfect narrative for us. And now we have a chance to actually run with this because now people actually respect Jalen Hurts, which he has not had respect up until this moment. So finally people can actually talk about him like how he deserves to be talked about. And even our head coach, who everyone's hated on, now they all have a pass.
big dumb dipshit is what everybody
you guys know as
an
Ohio State fan, when you win it, just you forgive everything, and everything is forgiven with this team.
All right, Deutsch, I got 2 questions for you. The first being, In the first quarter, that first drive, the 4th and 3, when the flag was thrown, were you a little nervous that was how it was going to go the whole game?
Oh, I raged.
Raged?
Oh, you know, dude, you know it. I was mad.
Yeah. So
I took off work, so I was
yeah,
mad.
Yeah. Stimulating off that though, you guys dominated so much that the refs couldn't get involved at all. I mean, they had no opportunity. After that first quarter, it wasn't close, and it was awesome to see Zach Bond, Cooper DeJean, Jalen Hurts, all A.J. Brown, Devonta catch the 46-yard pass. I mean, all of that was awesome to see finally pieced together. I was telling Carter this before you just came on here. You guys had a dominating season. People don't realize how dominating you guys were the whole year, and I just want to get your thoughts on that as well.
Oh, that's definitely another conversation that's going to come. It's right now I'm just taking it all in, so it's hard to really compare this team to other teams in the past. But this is one of the best defenses. If you just look at the stats this year, this is one of the best defenses ever. We literally had probably 13. It was either 12 or 13 forced turnovers this playoffs in 4 games.
Mind you, you guys did the playoffs without your starting linebacker in Nakobe Dean too.
Oh yeah. No, I mean what we had was just we could get pressure with 4, and we can get consistent pressure with 4, and that just led to everyone else. Our secondary could lock up everybody because we had extra guys playing back. We never even blitzed the Chiefs. We didn't even have to blitz them, and we still got consistent pressure and made Mahomes look. I've never seen Mahomes look like that. It's scary to think about what Mahomes is going to be like, though. I'm kind of scared to see what they're like next year.
So we can talk about that for a little bit. I think they're on the downturn. Their cap really isn't there. Travis Kelce is more than likely out. If you watch New Heights, he basically said he's probably going to leave. He probably would need a big reason to stay.
He's been all over the place with that, though, I will say.
Yeah,
he said multiple different things. He's on my dynasty team, so I've been watching that closely. But he's one day it's I got another year or 2 in me. The next day it's like, oh well, I'm kind of tired. I think this might be it, and he's just gotta make a fucking decision because it's pissing me off.
But all right, Deutsch. At what point did you know it was won? Like that you could like calm down and be like, I'm a Super Bowl champ.
Dude, officially, I mean, I was confident the whole entire game. Don't get me wrong, it was a weird thing, but before this game, I was having, obviously, we're playing the Chiefs. I knew that, like, we're going into the game that they could easily devil magic us, and at any second they could win. But for some reason, I was really confident. The second I saw our team just show up after we won and we didn't even celebrate really at all the NFC Championship win. We just, like, looked like we had unfinished business. I knew that they were going to come back and get it, and I mean that's just Jalen Hurts for you, dude. He's one of those guys that he just wants to win, and that's all he cares about. And that's all he doesn't celebrate. He doesn't care about. He just wants to win his next championship now. That's all he cares about. And he's the kind of guy that can, even though he doesn't blow you away with any of his stats, or he doesn't do anything that necessarily makes him a quote unquote elite quarterback. He's elite, and he's got the intangibles that are all that matters. But we'll see. I think for the Chiefs' standpoint, I do think that they might go through a regression for maybe it's like the Pats. When the Pats dynasty, they had a little break of 10 years where they didn't win a Super Bowl. I can see the Chiefs having to adjust to post-Travis Kelce life, but I think Mahomes is going to get more as his career goes on, and I think I'm a little scared to see what they look like when he fully has got revenge on his mind and only wants to win a Super Bowl bad now that they're don't have the 2 championships, they can actually focus up.
Yeah. I have one thing for you, Deutsch. I don't know if you remember this. I think it was after Hurts' first year, maybe his second year. I think it was our junior year. We were in the house, and you were so down on Hurts, and I kept telling you, it'll be fine. He's insane. He can squat more than half of the offensive linemen in this fucking league. He's going to be a great quarterback and get you over that hump. Not really much of a question there, but do you remember when we were talking about that? And,
I do remember that.
And
how
far he has come since that
I mean, dude, it's been a ride. Like,
hilarious.
It has not been easy defending Kurtz. No. I will say it's not.
No.
It's been up and down for a while. And, I mean, most of the media does not like him. So this is just – it's been
no,
it's
I mean,
been
most of the media doesn't like
time.
anything about you guys, honestly.
No. I mean, we're naturally going to draw hate our way. I mean, it's because of our fans, obviously, but at the same time, I think that finally, like, Hurts he's not resting, he's not done, but it's nice that he can finally get some recognition from actual NFL.
Definitely.
Yeah, so a little bit of a situation. We were kind of, Deutsch, you and me and Carter were kind of in the same situation where everyone was constantly rooting against us. And it was constant hate, and you at least had some guys on your side when you got to play the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Obviously, everyone was rooting for you guys finally. But as far as bragging rights and moment in your life, where does Sunday night kind of rank as far as one of your favorite memories, one of your top moments of your life? Because I know for me, Ohio State winning that first playoff, I mean, is top 2, if not 1 moment in my life for where I'm at, how happy I was and rejoiceful after. I just want to know where it ranks for you. Oh, we lost him.
And we lost him.
We lost him.
Well, I won't speak for him, but I do think that's probably pretty high up there for him with the whole Phillies thing, Eagle. I mean, here he is.
Here he is.
My bad, boys. I don't know what happened. I got a call and it lagged out.
All good.
Did you hear my question?
Did you catch that question?
I did not. No, it completely. I got a call right when you started asking.
Where, with all the hatred that our friends and all the media gives you towards the Eagles and rooting against you guys, kind of the same situation me and Carter had with the Buckeyes, where does the Eagles winning Sunday rank for your top memories in your life and top of your lifetime?
Dude, this win, I will say the first Super Bowl from a memorable standpoint, just because it was our first bowl, that one will forever hit in a different category. But I will say this was my favorite Eagles team ever. I wanted this team to win so badly. I just love our players. Our team, Saquon deserves it. We have just so many guys. I mean, Smitty's my favorite player. There's so many guys that I just wanted to get a ring so that they can get validated. And so, dude, I mean, this moment probably falls like, I'd say it's easily my top 5. It's probably number 3 behind the past Eagles Super Bowl, I'd say. I'd say 2017 goes number 1.
Yeah, and that was a big one too, with the whole Nick Foles coming in and then the narrative around it and beating Tom Brady and all that stuff that goes along with it. I think that was, like you said, probably a more memorable thing. But I do agree with you. This team was a lot of fun to watch this year. Great group of guys, but just a lot of dogs on the team. So I do agree with you on that standpoint, but I do understand why that first Super Bowl would be a little bit more memorable for you.
No one thought we were going to win it. This one, at least we had some people, even though we were doubted the whole time. But that one, we were literally underdogs in every game.
Well, yeah, it was. Oh, these guys have Nick Foles and they have to play the best quarterback of all time. There's zero chance they're winning this game.
It was. We were playing the Falcons. I went to the Falcons game, and it was.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Patriots Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, I am. We played the Falcons in the first round.
Oh, beforehand, I see.
Yeah, and no one thought we were going to win it. We were like underdogs at home as the 1 seed.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. I don't have anything else for you for the Super Bowl, Deutsch. I don't know if Brody does or not.
No. Deutsch, no matter what, you're a champ, man. Don't let anyone take that from you. Thank you for coming on. Really appreciate you taking the time as always. To everyone out there that's listening, Deutsch will be on for hopefully once a week for when baseball starts. We'll hopefully get a baseball preview out here in March. But once again, Deutsch, you're a champ. Don't ever
gotta get through college hoops before that.
Don't let anyone take that from you. Thanks for coming on. You have a good night. We'll catch you later, bro.
Yep,
Appreciate you guys having me. Go Phils. I'm so ready for baseball season at this point. I can finally turn myself to baseball season.
Go
but
Indians,
I'll be talking to you boys soon. Have a good one.
Yeah, we know you've been waiting on baseball.
Not till now, but I'll talk to you guys.
Thanks, buddy.
Deutsch.
Have a good one.
All right.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else, Booth. I really enjoyed football recap. I know you and I are both really looking forward to the draft more than anything to see what both of our teams can do. But I agree. I mean, the Super Bowl was very underwhelming. I left. We were all at Rafe and Bruno's new house for the Super Bowl. I left at halftime because I was like, this is a terrible game. I would much rather actually get some sleep before I have to go into work tomorrow. So I left at half. But yeah, I don't have anything else.
Yeah.
Go Pats, and hopefully we can fucking do a
Yeah.
good draft this year.
Couple closing remarks. I mean, obviously, shout out again to Deutsch for taking the time to come on. That was awesome. He's a champ. Also, we're now on YouTube. You can get on there and watch our first ever videos. We're giving that a shot. Hopefully, get on Apple Podcasts at some point. But we're gonna be posting
Amazon
a lot more
music and all that.
Yep. Also, we are glad to announce we're sponsoring a softball team. And if anyone that actually knows me, I play a shit ton of softball every year. We decided to be in our best interest to sponsor a team. If anyone would like a jersey, reach out. Glad to send you one. Rep the boys. And then another announcement, we're hiring a new co-host. He's coming on for his first episode Sunday. We'll get more into that Sunday for an episode of College Hoops, but we're all excited about that. It gives us another personality. Kind of an SEC mid-major hoops guy at the same time. Definitely excited about that, but overall, excited for the draft. It's great as always to be on here. Great to be doing the pod on video. But that's all I got. Thanks for tailgating with the boys.
Yep, thank you, and we'll see you all next week.